Support for Louisiana, the state we're in, is provided by
Entergy Louisiana is strengthening our power grid throughout the state. We're reinforcing infrastructure to prepare for stronger storms, reduce outages, and respond quicker when you do need us, because together we power life.
additional support provided by the Fred B. and Ruth B. Ziegler Foundation and the Ziegler Art Museum, located in Jennings City Hall. The museum focuses on emerging Louisiana artists and is a historical and cultural center for Southwest Louisiana, and the Foundation for Excellence in Louisiana Public Broadcasting and viewers like you. Thank you.
Alternative energy projects in Louisiana are on hold after the Trump administration froze funding.
And Xavier University is celebrating 100 years of academic excellence. I'll look back at the university's history as they move forward toward the future.
Mardi Gras parades are bundling up their beads and getting ready to roll. We will check out the evolution of these all-popular throws.
And the Dolly Parton Imagination Library is expanding across the state. I'll explain how this initiative is improving child literacy, one book at a time.
You ready?
Yep, let's do it.
All right. Hello, everyone. I'm Karen LeBlanc.
And I'm Dorothea Wilson. Much more on those top stories in a moment on this week's edition of Louisiana, the state we're in. But first, the newest member of Louisiana's congressional delegation, Democrat Cleo Fields, was officially sworn in this week.
You will learn that what's best is not always right and what's right is not always best. But when right and best meet, right always wins out first.
Fields was elected to represent the redrawn 6th District. The district was established to better reflect the racial demographics of Louisiana. Fields was first elected to Congress in the early 90s and later served in the state legislature.
Louisiana's renewable energy projects face an uncertain future as President Trump moves to eliminate federal funding for clean energy initiatives. The potential changes in federal energy policy raises concerns among environmental advocates and industry leaders who fear it could derail progress toward a greener and more sustainable state economy.
First Grace United Methodist Church in New Orleans serves as a neighborhood resilience hub, storing solar energy for use during widespread power outages and natural disasters. It's known as a community lighthouse, equipped with commercial-scale solar power and backup battery systems to offer resources such as charging stations, food distribution, cooling and heating centers, and support for medical equipment. It's one of several Louisiana solar initiatives that participate in federal programs and subsidies, now facing an uncertain future.
Community Lighthouse launched in 2022. As of today, we have 15 operating sites. We hope to have 80 sites across Orleans Parish and upwards of 500 sites across the state of Louisiana.
Will this be paused with the executive orders in place?
The state of Louisiana applied for a large infrastructure bill grant called GRIP, which is a Grid Resilience Grant Program. Community lighthouses were a large part of the project portfolio that was submitted to the federal government.
The Trump administration instructed federal agencies to pause the disbursement of funds appropriated through the Inflation Reduction Act and the Infrastructure Investment and Jobs Act, while conducting reviews of solar and wind initiatives.
Louisiana was awarded $250 million to build microgrids, resilience hubs across the state. That money is currently frozen. We are not sure, when or if the dollars will be freed up. And that is money that really puts our most vulnerable residents at risk. These are dollars that go directly to low-lying areas, parts of the state that are really on the front lines of climate change and are most susceptible to unfortunate outcomes following power outages.
Solar for All, another federal grant program, is also waiting for promised funds to install solar panels on low-income houses. Orleans Parish has approximately $150 million in Solar for All projects in the queue.
A repeal or even an extended freeze of both Inflation Reduction Act money or IJA, Infrastructure and Investment and Jobs Act dollars, would really be destabilizing for the Louisiana solar market.
The Trump administration mandated a comprehensive review of existing wind energy leases and declared a national energy emergency aimed at bolstering fossil fuel production and infrastructure. The executive order excluded wind and solar energy from the definition of energy resources.
President Trump's offshore wind ban isn't just ridiculous, it's self-destructive.
At a recent meeting of the House Natural Resources Committee on Offshore Energy, lawmakers debated whether the nation is experiencing an energy crisis, and if so, is more offshore oil and gas drilling and less solar and wind energy generation the solution?
I'm just wondering if you could tell me, how do these two industries, the oil and gas industry and the offshore wind industry specifically, work together and complement each other?
It's no secret that I've been talking about a balanced approach to energy for our nation for many years now. We have been talking about an energy addition for our country for all those years, not to the detriment of oil and gas.
Director of Port Fourchon, Chet Chesaw, testified at the committee meeting, calling for certainty and consistency in federal regulations and policies while defending Louisiana's offshore wind initiatives.
When it comes to everything that's been done in the offshore energy sector, when it comes to offshore oil and gas, that is absolutely transferable to offshore wind. In fact, customers of Port Fourchon, our users, were some of the many companies that built Block Island. We are actually retrofitting vessels in Port Fourchon at Bollinger Shipyard to work in the offshore wind industry in the Northeast.
Louisiana's first wind turbine will reside at Port Fourchon in its coastal wetlands park. The research and training turbine stands 187 feet tall and will provide some power to the port. Gulf Wind Technology is coordinating the turbine's assembly and testing as part of its overarching effort to develop Louisiana's wind blade manufacturing industry. Otto Candies is a third-generation marine service provider. His family-owned company, Candies LLC, builds vessels that service offshore oil and gas. The company diversified and outfitted some of its vessels to service the offshore wind industry, primarily Northeast wind farms, and it has hopes of one day servicing more Louisiana wind energy providers.
President Trump, one of his big pushes is energy independence, and I think personally that the more sources that you have of energy, the more energy independent you can be.
The potential deprioritization of renewable sources in federal energy policy could derail Louisiana's evolving offshore wind industry, which is part of the state's all-above energy strategy that includes oil and gas exploration and production.
I think taking a thoughtful pause to really look at the industry and see what things we need to do to make sure that it is economically efficient is a good thing to do. I think what we don't want to do is put a permanent halt on another source of energy for our country. And I think that if we develop it in the right way, it helps us both economically and from an energy independence and national security standpoint. So I think that developing all types of energy is really the right path for our country.
From hashtags to headlines, here's what's trending this week. Now, this story could only happen in New Orleans.
That is right, Karen. Check this out. Now, newlyweds are getting a lot of attention online because of their wedding. Now, it's not any wedding here. Kevin Wynn and Monica Resch tied the knot on Valentine's Day. That's sweet. But guess what? In a heart-shaped pothole. The couple won a contest on Instagram to have their wedding paid for as long as it was in a pothole. Now, the decorations included traffic cones guiding the bride and groom down the aisle, a caution tape accent on the bride's dress, and a wedding cake designed to look just like the pothole.
Who came up with that idea?
I don't know. Whatever you got to do to make it free.
And I hate to say it, but potholes are pretty easy to find in Louisiana.
That's right.
Really.
Absolutely.
So, all right. Well, in more serious news, Pope Francis is in the hospital in Rome where he's being treated for pneumonia in both lungs and other complications.
That's right, and he was hospitalized last Friday after experiencing shortness of breath and signs of bronchitis. The Vatican says his treatment is challenging and will require lots of rest. And some sad news for the Southern Jaguar community. Longtime football safeties coach and former star player Sean Wallace has died.
Wallace went public with his fight against pancreatic cancer in 2023. While undergoing treatment, he continued coaching, even serving as acting head coach when the Jaguars won the Bayou Classic in 2023.
Now, the university says his legacy will live on through the lives he's touched. Coach Sean Wallace was 52 years old. A tough time for the Southern Jaguars.
Quite a loss and quite a legacy.
That's right. Well, meanwhile, in some other HBCU news, Xavier University, it's marking its 100th anniversary, a century of academic excellence, community service, and empowerment. Founded in 1925, the university has played a pivotal role in shaping the city's educational and cultural landscape. I met with officials from Xavier to talk about the incredible achievement and to look at what's next.
We are 100 years old. Happy Centennial. The Xavier education has been transformative, not only for the graduates and the students who leave us, but especially for those who receive the benefits of the great service they provide to society and to the world.
Established in 1925 by Saint Katharine Drexel and the Sisters of the Blessed Sacrament, Xavier University of Louisiana is the only Catholic historically black college or university, and they are celebrating 100 years of educational excellence this year. The university continues to promote a more just and humane society by preparing its students for leadership and service roles in a global context. This preparation takes place within a diverse educational environment that employs various instructional methods, including research and community service.
The phrase, a more just and humane society, has been in Xavier's mission since the very beginning. And what comes after that phrase in our mission is that we see that we create that more just and humane society by producing leaders who go out in the world in order to make change. And we have been doing that over the last 100 years. You know, when we first started at Xavier back in 1925, what we were looking at is producing educators, because at the time there were not a lot of educators who were African American who could go into the schools and teach our young people. And that's what Katharine Drexel was looking at. At the time, in that early 1900s, blacks were not given the opportunity to attend schools, who attend excellent schools, and especially attend universities. And that's what Xavier University is all about.
Dr. Marguerite Jaguette serves as the provost at Xavier, where she plays a key role in selecting the academic programs offered at the school. Dr. Jaguette emphasizes that her program choices are deliberate, ensuring Xavier students have an opportunity to occupy spaces with low representation.
We take a look at where is there underrepresentation in a number of different programs. And some of the programs that we started recently, since President Verrett has been president at Xavier, is that what we've been able to do is take a look. For example, we started an undergraduate program in robotics and mechatronics engineering. And so that whole field of robotics is something that there are not a lot of African Americans in that particular area. And then in the health field, what we've looked at is starting a physician assistant program. Only about 3% of physician assistants are African American. We started a master's in speech language pathology. Only about 3% of practicing speech language pathologists are African American. And so, and of course now what we're looking at is starting a medical school, and only about 5% of our physicians in the United States are African American, where 13% of the population is African American. So we see where we can make a difference, because it's important to have representation at the table, and it's important to hear diverse ideas, you know, in order to make change and in order to move forward.
And move forward is exactly what they plan to do. While Xavier remains one of the leading producers of black doctors in the nation and receives recognition for its STEM programs, University President Dr. Reynold Verrett emphasizes that the next generation must carry the torch further.
I think it's about educating talent, finding talent, and make sure that we don't waste any talent.
Yes.
So that they are able to address the many challenges that will be here that you and I don't even get to imagine. The world is yours, they have their own thoughts.
Yeah.
But the challenges of whether it's building a society that is truly multicultural, where they actually can embrace everyone as they do each other here, that we're able to have the conversations to build a society that is resilient, not just economically, but socially, where we are. There's an example that we get from being other-centered, that it's not just about me, it's about my neighbor next door. That notion of society where children can flourish. That's piece that we are making progress, but we're not there yet, but that's the world that they will be able to build. And I have some faith that I think they are ready for it.
Xavier will celebrate its centennial all year long with various activities, including a mass honoring the founding sisters, art exhibits featuring local artists and alumni, homecoming festivities in October, and much, much more.
The Dolly Parton Imagination Library is making incredible strides right here in Louisiana. The program, which provides books to children from birth age to 5, is expanding its reach, helping to foster a love of reading. Here's a closer look at how this initiative is shaping the future of Louisiana's children. Well, I am here with Dakota Henry and Molly Marker of the Imagination Library, and they are responsible for getting these beautiful books in the hands of our youth all across this state. How exciting is that?
This is so exciting, and we're so happy to be here today.
Yes, and thank you so much for being here. Now, talk to me about the history, the inspiration. How did this all come about?
Well, this program is Dolly Parton's Heart Program.
Wow.
She started this program 30 years ago in her home county of Sevierville, Tennessee, and that grew into the state of Tennessee. It grew across the nation, and now it's in 5 countries.
Wow.
It's a free book gifting program for kids from birth until their 5th birthday. They're mailed 1 book a month.
Nice.
Yeah.
Now, Molly, how did this get here in Louisiana?
You know, it's actually been here for 15 or 20 years, just kind of in pockets here and there. It's been in the last few years that it's actually become a statewide program. And so it's actually a partnership between the state of Louisiana and the Dollywood Foundation to bring Dolly Parton's Imagination Library to communities across the state, every parish in the state, every zip code. And so it's something that we're working towards, and just delighted to be here.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. And I loved that you talked about the partnership, because there's a little bit of partnership with us and you, right?
Absolutely. So we are so excited that Louisiana Public Broadcasting is our champion in state government here.
Yes.
And a great partner. We love working with you, and I think it's a great fit because you are already out there reaching those youngest readers, and we're trying to do the same thing.
Now, ladies, Louisiana has a higher childhood illiteracy rate than others in the nation. How is this program addressing those illiteracy rates in our state?
So we know that 90% of brain development happens by the age of 4. And so bringing books actually into the home before kids are going off to school helps them learn to read, it helps them with their vocabulary, and it equips them for kindergarten readiness so that they can hit the ground running.
It also, even on top of the literacy, it encourages relationship bonding with the families, just to, again, establish that supportive system.
Awesome. I love that. Now, tell me, how can people get involved in what you're doing?
There are numerous ways to get involved. First off, if you want to join the Imagination Library and receive these books, again, it's for all eligible kids 0 to 5. And you just need to go on imaginationlibrary.com and see if it's available in your parish. And so that's what Molly and I are here to do in Louisiana, is to make sure it is available to all children in Louisiana. So we're not there yet, but we are well on our way to make sure that every kid is available, has this program available to them.
I love that so much. So what's in the future for the Imagination Library? Talk to us about that. You know, the first order of business really is to make sure we have a program everywhere. And we have some really amazing local program partners who are on the ground in their communities, enrolling their children, raising the funds to buy the books and mail them out. This is actually a very cool partnership because the state of Louisiana matches those funds. And so you can reach twice as many children when you do it that way.
That's right.
So we're looking for new local program partners in some cases. We're looking for champions and funders, and really putting all of those collaborators together is how we're able to bring the program to every parish.
I love that. So where are we so far? Of every parish, where are we? Where do we rank right now?
So we only have about 10 parishes that do not have the program.
Okay.
So we are, again, like Molly said, we are looking for new partnerships, and whether that's nonprofits, funders, or just supporters and cheerleaders.
Yeah.
We're looking for help in those ways. But you can check again on imaginationlibrary.com. We kind of have a map of Louisiana, so you can see where the program is available and not available.
Good. So only 10. So we got to get those 10 on board. Any final thoughts? What would you like to say to our viewers?
We are so happy that this program is here and available to the citizens of our state. We think it is a wonderful program, and we are honored to be a part of Dolly's mission.
Yes.
And it'll just go further when everyone knows about it and wants to get involved and support it, or just be a part of it by receiving her books.
Well, I would just say, you know, one of my favorite pieces of this program is the books actually come in the mail. They have a mailing label with the child's name on them. So even at their youngest ages, they're starting to learn their name, their address. And when it comes in the mail, you kind of remember, we don't get a lot of mail these days, but boy, that book comes and it's an event, and the whole family kind of celebrates and can get together and read that book. And I hear that it's read over and over again. So I just love that piece of the program. And, you know, again, it is available to every child from birth to age 5 in coverage areas. So we just invite everybody to get online and sign up.
Awesome. Well, I love that. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for the work that you're putting in for our children right here in the state of Louisiana. And we're going to work to get those other 10 parishes on board.
That's
you
right.
better believe it. Thank you so much, ladies.
Thank you.
Now, New Orleans also has its own crew of Dolly, where participants get glammed up like Dolly Parton, make appearances, march in parades, and promote the Imagination Library.
The Mardi Gras trinket throwing tradition dates back over 140 years and remains both a fun pastime and a competitive sport for parade goers. The historic New Orleans collection has a vast archive of carnival materials that traces the evolution of Mardi Gras throws, from glass beads to bedazzled toilet plungers. Let's take a look.
Throw me something, mister, remains the catchphrase for Mardi Gras, but many parade goers aren't picking up those plastic beads flying from the floats. It's known as bead fatigue.
I think we are heading towards more unique throws like these, more practical throws, and I think we're heading towards less beads and just a smaller volume. You know, a few years ago when they cleaned out the catch basins of New Orleans and found almost 50 tons of plastic beads clogging our water basins, and all of that flows into our waterways, and it's really toxic.
Lydia Blackmore is the curator of decorative arts at the historic New Orleans collection. She opened up the vaults to share a few highlights from the Mardi Gras Throws archives.
By the 1920s, Rex was requiring beads to be thrown from parades. So that's when we really start seeing beads starting to happen at Mardi Gras, the 1920s and through the 20th century. The first kind of customized throws were Zulu coconuts, which have been thrown by Zulu throughout their history and have had the longest legacy of throws.
More beads. And more beads. And more. And you can see where this is headed.
Kurt Owens is an interpreter at the historic New Orleans collection. During carnival season, he gives pop-up talks about the evolution of Mardi Gras throws as modern-day collectible pieces of folk art.
The joy of signature throws is they are so individual. and so different. Every person has their own taste and ideas and crafts to make something unique for themselves.
Okay, speaking of unique, this takes the prize in terms of uniqueness.
The prima donnas will march down Royal Street, beautifully garbed and handing out decorated brassieres.
From the crew of Muse's beaded shoes to bedazzled toilet plungers from the crew of Tux and feathered horseshoes handed out by the riding Lady Godivas, Throw Me Something, Mister is a competition for the luck of the catch. It's come a long way from glass beads, the original Mardi Gras trinket.
The glass beads came about in the mid-20th century, and you'll notice on this tag, which was never thrown because it's still bound together in its paper binding, and each bead is marked with a tag that says made in Czechoslovakia. Eastern Europe was a big glass-making center in the 20th century, and they churned out glass beads like this that you'll see in fashion from the time.
Doubloons showed up on floats in the 1960s, briefly followed by faux paper money.
This was a throw?
This is a throw. So
Paper?
I like this one because it's kind of a compliment to the Rex doubloons. You know, if this is your metal currency of Mardi Gras, then Bacchus came out in the 1970s with paper currency. This is called a Bacchus bogus dollar. Didn't last very long. It's not very easy to throw because Mardi Gras is wonderful. It evolves so quickly. Right? There's always something new every year.
Today, bead fatigue is fueling a new trend in Mardi Gras throws. Crews are trading plastic for practical and sustainable throws, such as soaps, coffee beans, jambalaya mix, and grits.
So we are seeing more glass beads being thrown, paper beads, biodegradable things being thrown.
People who are able to go away with something sparkling and unique and with a memory, it's great.
So this carnival season, with so many unique trinkets up for grabs, we wish you the luck of the catch. You just might end up with a collectible that becomes part of Mardi Gras lore.
All right, Dorothea, what's your favorite throw?
You know, I don't know, but I think I'm liking that bedazzled toilet plunger.
Creativity and wacky. I love it. All right, well, that is our show for this week. Remember, you can watch anything LPB anytime, wherever you are, with our LPB app.
That's right, and you can catch LPB news and public affairs shows, as well as other Louisiana programs you've come to enjoy over the years. And please, like us on Facebook, X, and Instagram.
For everyone at Louisiana Public Broadcasting, I'm Karen LeBlanc.
And I'm Dorothea Wilson. Until next time, that's the state we're in.
Support for Louisiana, the state we're in, is provided by
Entergy Louisiana is strengthening our power grid throughout the state. We're reinforcing infrastructure to prepare for stronger storms, reduce outages, and respond quicker when you do need us, because together we power life.
Additional support provided by the Fred B. and Ruth B. Ziegler Foundation and the Ziegler Art Museum, located in Jennings City Hall. The museum focuses on emerging Louisiana artists and is a historical and cultural center for Southwest Louisiana. And by Mary Bird Perkins Cancer Center. Visit Baton Rouge. And the Foundation for Excellence in Louisiana Public Broadcasting and viewers like you. Thank you.